Have you ever heard of the term biophilia? It was coined in the 1980s by the brilliant E.O. Wilson, and it describes our innate connection with nature. It explains that good feeling that we get when we go outdoors, and why we travel to national parks and tend to our gardens and decorate our homes with plants. Let's talk about biophilia in kids today. Hi, and welcome to Mama's Footprint. I'm Dr. Poliana Raymer, a mom of two wonderful girls and a community college professor. This video is part of a series of themes related to sustainability and parenthood/childcare. Today I'd love to talk to you about kids and nature. I'll divide the theme into two parts: the benefits of nature to kids and the benefits of kids to nature. It has been observed that on average, an American child spends 7 to 10 minutes a day in unstructured play outdoors and over 7 hours in front of a screen. There are a lot of researchers out there noticing this drastic shift in how much time our kids are spending indoors versus outdoors, specifically in nature. A lot of these studies were discussed in this eye-opening book by Richard Louv called The Last Child in the Woods, published in 2008. Though this is not a medical term, Louv introduced us to the concept of nature deficit disorder, given all the benefits provided by nature and the contrasting little time our kids get to be benefited from it. The book discusses things like how the lack of structure found in nature builds creativity and confidence, as the child needs to find their own way of interacting with what they find. Louv mentions new studies suggesting that exposure to nature boosts focus and may reduce the symptoms of ADHD, and that it can improve all children's cognitive abilities, resistance to negative stresses, and depression. A report entitled The Impact of Children's Connection to Nature by the University of Derby in the UK showed that kids with a greater connection to nature displayed significantly higher health and life satisfaction. The urgency to get kids to play in nature is not lost in nature and wildlife organizations, and projects are popping up to help us with that. Some examples include the National Wildlife Federation's 10 Million Kids in Nature, the Schlitz Audubon Nature Center, the U.S. Forest Service's More Kids in the Woods, and the Sierra Club's Inspiring Connections Outdoors program. The Child Mind Institute offers some great ideas to get kids outdoors. 1. Set up a treasure hunt. Sometimes I'll go out for walks with Beatrice, and before heading out, I'll draw a few things for her to find, such as a bird, a flower, a shiny rock, an insect. Number 2, identify things. You can do this by getting guidebooks at the library and learning to identify plants and animals that you find along the way. I'll go ahead and merge another tip they gave with this one, which is 3, use technology to their advantage. You can use a smartphone to create a photo journal, and you can then go a step further and use one of the multiple identifying apps out there by posting your picture to the app. One I will highly recommend is iNaturalist. Smaller kids will need help from caregivers to use it, but this is a great citizen science app. You can opt to create an account and choose one of the many projects the app has. For example, if you select the project Tide Pools of Southern California, your child can post pictures of what they find when you take them tide pooling. Once they post their pictures, not only are they contributing to science, but members of the group can help them identify the species they have found, which is really fun. 4, give them tools to discover, like magnifying glass, a shovel, a net. 5, plant a garden. 6, take a hike. 7, make an art project. These are all amazing ideas of how to get them out there. Most importantly, though, is to lead by example. Remember that time in nature is beneficial to adults just as much as to kids. Highlight here that, unfortunately, kids' access to nature is many times connected to income and social status. Though this is indeed unfortunate, I want to encourage parents and caregivers to broaden their concept of time in nature. If you don't have access to plants and animals around your neighborhood, for example, join your child in planting herbs and watching them grow, even if on your windowsill. If you want to go beyond that, then maybe encourage your neighbors and/or your children's school to set up a flower bed for pollinators, or an organic garden for students to have access to free, healthy fruits and veggies. Being out in the sun and getting their hands full of dirt is enough to create beautiful core memories and to help them want to come back to nature over and over again. And that leads us to the benefits of kids to nature. There is a quote I read when I was 12 or 13 years old that I never forgot, and that I honestly believe has guided me on my professional path. It's a quote by Baba Dioum, and it reads, "In the end, we will conserve only what we love. We will love only what we understand. And we will understand only what we are taught." This quote is so true and important and powerful because it goes straight to the point. We can't expect that our kids will work towards preserving nature if they feel completely disconnected from it. As pointed out by Michigan State University Extension, kids who learn about conservation from early on are more likely to be proactive adults concerned about the welfare of their environment and the world around them. The report I mentioned previously by the University of Derby also mentions a positive correlation between kids' connection to nature and their pro-environmental behaviors, such as recycling and using less water, and pro-nature behaviors, such as picking up litter to improve the home of wild animals and planting flowers that attract pollinators. I want to mention something that's really important here. It's critical to have age-appropriate conversations about conservation. You don't want to trigger eco-anxiety, which is something commonly found in the current generation of young adults. Learning about negative impacts should always be immediately followed by positive actions being taken to solve that problem. When we are bombarded with negative information and we think we can't do anything about it, we tend to either walk away from the problem, become numb to it, or become increasingly anxious about it. If you want to know more about this, there's a great book by Katherine Hayhoe called Saving Us. I highly recommend it. Also important to know, you don't have to have a PhD in biology to help your child understand nature. Observe nature together and appreciate its beauty. The vibrant colors of the flowers and how that must attract bees, butterflies, and birds from far away. The squirrels and how strong their teeth must be to be able to munch on such hard seeds. Ask them questions. Why do you think birds sing? Or how do you think ants carry such heavy leaves on their backs? Write your questions down along with the questions your child might ask during the time you have together in nature, and look up the answers when you get home. These questions can also allow them to explore their senses. What do waves sound like? What does a rainy day smell like? How would you describe this bird's song? Does it sound angry? Does it sound cheerful? Here are some great examples of conservation actions kids can take, suggested by Nat Geo Kids. Avoid foods containing unsustainable palm oil. I'll leave the link to more details on that on the screen. Protect native plants by sticking to the trail when you go out on hikes. Make a bee and butterfly hotel by planting flowers that they love to pollinate. If you own a cat that goes outside, put a bell on its collar so that vulnerable wildlife are not caught off guard and have a chance to escape. Reduce plastic waste that's especially destructive to our ocean's creatures by using reusable items such as bottles, bags, and utensils. Remember how I said that we should also talk about positive actions when discussing negative impacts? Talk to your kids about ways you and/or they can participate in that action. Building a sense of community is the first step to showing them that we can make a difference together and that they shouldn't feel like they need to solve these problems alone. I hope that this was very inspiring to you. I look forward to your comments on ideas for outdoor activities and nature outings with the kids. See you later, friends.